Humans are going to disrupt everywhere. Whatever humans are going to touch on this planet is going to disrupt something or the other.
What I'm reading is happening in Masemara. There's the danger of overbuilding. A lack of oversight. Was it corruption? Didn't ask the right people and just gave a permit? Bobby Kamani is an entrepreneur who blends his passion for hospitality, travel, and people into everything he does. From luxury travel design through Zia Travel Atelier to being the managing director of Zuri Group Global, his family business. Bobby's journey has been about creating meaningful connections and experiences across Africa, India, and now the Middle East. When he's not curating extraordinary journeys or building ventures, you'll find him on horseback playing polo or in the gym pushing his limits. Always with the same energy he brings to life and business. So please welcome to Unboxing Impact, Bobby Kamani. Bobby, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Good, thank you. Good to have you on Unboxing Impact.
Thank you very much for having me.
Pleasure. We talked about this for a while, so I'm glad we could finally make it happen, get travel diaries to work and all that.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Bobby, I've given this really quite generous introduction to the audience about who you are, but in your own words, maybe just a couple of minutes, who is Bobby Kamani?
So I'd like to start by saying, first of all, the introduction is great and it kind of talks about all the professional aspects of my life. I feel that I should make that introduction a bit more human. In the last 5 years, I have survived grief. I'm still going through grief after I lost my sister. Challenges have turned into strengths for me. Certain challenges still remain challenges. I'm still learning a lot. So I'm that inquisitive individual who's always looking to learn more and to better myself. So I think that should add to the introduction that you so generously just gave.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a great way to start because, on the facade, we see a successful business guy.
Yeah.
But there's obviously a deep human behind it. And I like to start these discussions with one question always.
Yeah.
How do you define success?
Success for me is doing what you love, doing it for the people that you love, and making a difference. Now, making a difference could be in the form of impact.
Mm-hmm.
It could be in the form of, transforming somebody's life. It could mean just bringing happiness to the people around you. I've always been a believer of that since I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
that, we have a greater journey in life, and that is to keep people happy around us.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's something that I've always felt the need to do. Now, whether it's something that's stemmed from my childhood or my need to do it, or whether it's something that's just been imbibed in me as a personality, that I'm still yet to figure out.
So keep people happy around you. I love that. What about your own happiness?
That's primary. Because if you can't keep yourself happy, how are you going to keep everyone else around you happy?
Okay.
Yeah.
So that being happy allows you to keep other people happy, or making other people happy makes you happy?
The first one.
That's fair enough.
That's
It's the oxygen mask analogy, right? If you can't look after yourself, you can't look after others.
And I think I learned that a lot later in life. I think up to the age of 30, it was making everyone happy so that I could be happy.
Okay.
And I think after major loss in life, you start realizing that self-care is the most important.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start prioritizing self-care, whether it is for your physical health or your mental health, then you're able to serve the people that you love better.
Absolutely.
And whether that's your family members, whether it's people in your business, your colleagues, or your friends and your family.
Okay. So let's dive a bit deeper into that. I love the direction that you take with that. So you come from a very successful family business. You're second generation.
Yeah.
Right? In terms of where your founding father started the business, what's his take on, well, let me ask you, what do you think his definition of success is?
I think success and the definition of success depends on personalities, and it also depends on generations. I think, first of all, I'm from the third generation family business. It was my grandfather who founded the business, and his idea of success was very different to what my father's idea of success was. When my grandfather moved from India to Kenya in 1950, it was literally about making ends meet. Having come on a ship from Gujarat to Kenya to find a better life and make a better life,
Mm-hmm.
with 50 shillings in his pocket. His idea of success was very different to what my father's idea of success would have been.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather's idea of success was, can I feed my family
Yeah.
tonight? And my father then built on those foundations. And, with his incredible vision, the business flourished.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happened, his idea of success is also very different.
Sure.
His idea of success is, expansion, profit.
Mm-hmm.
Those are his benchmarks for success. And for me, it's generation driven, but it's also in my mindset that success for me is purpose driven.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I like to believe that purpose over profit is actually profit anyways.
I like that. I like that. Gotta note that down. That's a great slogan.
Yeah.
No, listen. I mean, I have a similar journey as you know. So I'm not asking in no way question the integrity or purposes or visions of an older generation. I completely agree. Especially immigrant people who came in older. My parents were refugees when the Indian partition happened. And you're absolutely right. Your definition of success is going to be dependent also on circumstance.
Yes.
As well. So of course, at an early stage, it's about putting food on the table.
Yeah.
And then I can tell you from my side,
Yeah.
my father's vision of success was financial,
Yeah.
but it was financial for the purpose of family security. His view was I had to start a family business so that I can financially look after not only. In fact, his view was very grand in terms of, let me say, even impact and purpose within a nuclear family, to make sure that we were looked after and that even our next generations were going to be looked after. He wanted to start a legacy with that. But, and my father's a very charitable man as well. But I think for that generation, success was a financial metric.
Yeah.
And the journey that I went on, and I can see the journey that you're going on, I think you phrased it beautifully there, that purpose over profit. It's, I think we're, first of all, and I think this caveat must go out there.
Yeah.
We're blessed to be in this position to make this choice.
Definitely.
First of all, right?
Yeah.
Because we have the money
Yeah.
for basic securities.
Correct.
In life. And therefore we can make that choice that, okay, do we need to pile on some more cash onto that?
Yeah.
Okay. Or is there something else
Yeah.
we can do? And I see you're also on that journey.
Absolutely.
And recently, obviously, you took over more control on the business,
Yeah.
and then I know we've had some chats before that
Yeah.
you've pivoted a little bit.
Absolutely.
Tell us a bit more about the pivot, and I would like to know again how what ramifications that had on sort of the family when you want to take the business in a different direction.
Definitely. So for me, first of all, I don't look at legacy as a hand-me-down.
Mm-hmm.
Look at it as perhaps a relay
Mm-hmm.
where my father has run the race with incredible vision,
Mm-hmm.
and he's now handed over the baton, and now it's up to me to attempt to expand on that vision.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it means to expand on that vision in a way that is more appropriate to this generation in an ever-changing world, then so be it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we can understand that first, then it's very easy to kind of understand the reasons for why somebody, is looking at either pivoting or changing course in life. The businesses have been running professionally for some time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the family businesses don't require my personal involvement on a day-to-day basis in the last few years. And for me, I'm not someone who can just sit around. I was getting jittery.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do something. The family businesses are there. They're running well. We're lucky. We're grateful to God and to the family for, us being blessed, like you said, to be in this position. But for me, it wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling that there was some purpose of mine that was calling, that I have to do something that is a creation of my own.
Mm-hmm.
My family has created so much, and we're so lucky that they've created all of this.
Mm-hmm.
But what's my creation? And it's not just about creating for your children and for future generations. That was the need of the hour for our fathers. The need of the hour, according to me, is what purpose are you creating today? Because for me, purpose is the legacy you're going to leave for your children.
Yeah. Okay.
When we were growing up, our parents, especially our fathers, didn't have time. They were busy working so hard and making money. So do I remember my dad being in school for the parents-teachers meetings? No. That was handled entirely by my mom. And if you look at today's generation, including myself,
Yeah.
we're so much more present physically for our children. But that has become a huge priority of our life. But also that priority has come because we have the luxury of being able to do that because of what we've been blessed with.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? And so the pivoting happens when you find yourself in a position where you want to do a lot, but you also feel that there's only a certain amount which is your calling.
Yeah. Yeah.
My background is travel and hospitality. That's what I know best.
Okay. So
That's what I love.
great. So let's dive more into that in terms of that, because that's where your pivot went.
That's where
right, the travel. So just tell us more about Zia Travel and what it is, that pivot in that direction.
Sure. So it was actually a combination of things. First of all, it was the fact that I was getting jittery and I wanted to do something more meaningful and more purposeful with how I spend my time. And secondly, it came from also at the same time my wife pivoting. Because Xenia, who you know well, was a lawyer before we got married. She was working long hours at the Walt Disney Company in Bombay before she moved to Kenya when we got married. And at that point, she took a break in her career. And it was after we had the twins that she also wanted to get back to doing something more meaningful, but also wanted to do something that she loves. And in the 7 to 8 years that she lived in Kenya, she experienced the beauty of raw Africa. And she fell in love with it. And I've been lucky enough to have been born and brought up in Kenya. So for me, it's just, you never take for granted that you're born in that natural world. And we wanted to do something that would actually not only be meaningful for us, but also for the people that we are working with or working for. And so the idea came of Zia Travel Atelier just 2 years ago. And, it happened at a campfire in the Masai Mara, where we were sitting by the campfire after a game drive. And we were discussing life, meaning, purpose, impact. And that's when I said, Zia, travel and hospitality is my strength. You've experienced some wonderful properties. You love wildlife photography. You're so heavily engaged with conservation efforts. Travel and impact, there's no better story. And that's when Zia Travel was launched. And since then, we've been curating bespoke journeys that focus around impact and purposeful living and travel in Africa, the Indian Ocean Islands, and most recently, India.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I love that. You're taking up something you're both deeply passionate about, because I think as entrepreneurs, you give your life to your business. We always say our businesses are our babies as well. So it's really important that you have your partner's support in that. In your case, she's working closely with you. But I think it's really important that whatever you do, you're putting such a commitment behind it that you have your partner's support. So that's fantastic. But tell me then, so how do you differentiate Zia from other age? Because you said about purpose and impact. Where is the focus on that? How are you doing that? And how are you communicating that with your clients, potential clients?
So first of all, what happens is, I think CSR, unfortunately, is being very loosely used. And you come across companies, you come across businesses, you come across properties that basically are using sustainability as a CSR checkbox.
Yeah.
And you see it on websites, you see it in marketing spiels, but are they actually doing what they say they're doing? And it's unfortunate that until very recently, it's not being quantified. And, I was lucky enough to have been introduced to Boutry by you.
Yeah.
And I was just so impressed with the fact that they're quantifying, the criteria required to basically make these companies sustainable and impactful. So for us, we said, we only want to work with companies that we've actually experienced, number one, seen what their CSR footprint is. Now, we may not be able to quantify it, but we definitely can vouch for them.
Yeah.
Because we've experienced them and seen what they're doing on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And so we decided to just partner with those properties and those companies that actually bring those differences, whether it is to the traveler who's traveling in or to the community that they're a part of.
That's great.
And I think that's where we are different.
Yeah.
Again, CSR, sustainability, impact, unfortunately, it's also loosely used these days.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. That's the one I wanted to drill down on, because you're right. Those words get thrown around.
Yeah.
I mean, CSR, ESG, all these things were sort of, they were flavor of the month, a year, 2, 3, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And they became check boxes.
Yeah.
And there was frankly a cheating and lying around them. And I've experienced it. Unfortunately, I don't get to see as many lodges as you do. But definitely in some of the experiences I've had across seeing safari lodges.
Yeah.
They'll talk about themselves being sustainable.
Yeah.
And because I know the technicality behind this space.
Yeah.
But they take you around the camp and they'll show you, look, there's our solar panels and there's our water treatment plant. But if you dig deeper, you start to realize, it's a token solar panel, and the water treatment is cosmetic more than or superficial rather than what it's really doing.
And that's why you need those impact surveys.
Exactly right.
Which quantify exactly what they're doing, because that one solar panel may be great for your marketing brochure.
Exactly right.
Or for your Instagram caption and post. But how is it actually making a difference?
Yeah.
And it's not only the lodges, but it's also experiences and itineraries. Like with our previous guests and with the ones that are coming. For example, Project Maji has been a huge part of those itineraries, where you've curated journeys and you've made sure that at least one of the Project Maji sites is being covered by the guests. Because it's one thing to kind of go and experience an eco-friendly lodge, but it's also another experience to go and see the actual work that is being done on the ground.
I've found that really rewarding when I try and explain what we do to people. That it's, of course, I get a lot of compliments and people say, they appreciate it and then they're proud of me, etc. But until people actually go on the ground and see real impact like that, it's very, very different. And I love the fact that we do Project Maji trips with people.
Yeah.
And what that brings to mind also, and there's a challenge with this as well. And as we get more and more people to go out, we want them to see more and more different Project Maji sites. And one of the driving factors of that is, and again, I hate to say it this way, but when people are going out to the Maasai for a safari, tagged onto the itinerary, there's very typically visit the Maasai village. And it's a tourist experience, and maybe 10, 20 years ago, it started off as a genuine thing. But I think the fact that, because of the geography, it's invariably the same 2 or 3 places that are going to get visited. And they might have been genuine and needy in the early days, but they've become tourist camps, essentially. And again, that's another one of these sort of token impact things. Let's go and sit in $1,000 a night lodges and enjoy ourselves, but let's just go and spend an hour to see what this is and buy the Maasai robe or whatever it's going to be.
I mean, it's hardly authentic anymore.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's hardly authentic.
It's just become a tick box.
It's a tick box, and
take the Instagram pictures and
it's like literally we want to go and see how the Maasai live. But yes, like you said, maybe 20 years ago, they needed that support. And I'm not saying they don't need the support today.
Yeah.
But there are different ways in which you can support. How about, contributing towards education in schools in Maasai villages? How about contributing towards setting up a Project Maji site in the Masai Mara? There are ways to create impact, but not going to Maasai village, giving the token $20, $30. Showing how the Maasai live.
Allegedly live.
And then you have the Maasai with his iPhone. I mean,
taking a selfie with.
Yeah. So it's hardly authentic anymore. But there are amazing, authentic experiences around Africa that if you actually just ask a travel curator who knows about those kind of initiatives, they can actually point you in the right direction.
Are you seeing these kind of experiences and the need for the impact part of it? Is that being driven? Of course, you're driving it as well. But are you seeing that being driven by your clientele as well? That they're saying, "Yeah, we want the holiday, but we want something more authentic." Or is that something you're not say pushing on them, because I'm sure when they see it, they like it. But is it something that they're proactively asking for?
So it depends on the dynamics of the group that's traveling. When we've seen multi-generational families travel, and that's a huge part of the business, we've started seeing them more interested in these kind of initiatives. What they call legacy travel. We want to leave a legacy for our children. We don't want to just, and our grandchildren, we don't want to just take them on safari. We want them to experience the real Africa. The real Africa, as we said, is North Maasai Village.
Yeah.
So we've seen a lot more interest on impact initiatives and purpose-driven travel when it's come to multi-generational.
Okay. And driven
families.
driven by the younger guys more, I guess. Right?
Actually driven sometimes by the younger generation, and a lot of the times by the older generation, by the grandparents.
Okay.
But then when you have corporate retreats, the impact kind of takes a backseat.
Okay.
Because it's more of a retreat centered around their work and agendas and stuff like that. So we try and put as much as we can in terms of impact without having to lose focus of their corporate retreat.
It's interesting. It's
Depends
interesting.
on group to group.
A couple of things you said there, which kind of resonate. We hear a lot that the younger generation wants more purpose and impact. So that's why I asked you. My gut would have been that, is it the younger generation asking for these things? I'm sure they are to an extent. But very interesting. We had a couple of families come out to see some of our sites. Very, very wealthy families, and they had a common view. I told you I won't hold back on controversy on this talk. But frankly, they had a view that their kids are just way too spoiled, and their view was, no, they need to come out and they need to see, some real life, and we explained to them, okay, that's great. Bring them out. Let them come and see the Project Margie site, and then we can arrange a beautiful safari for you in some beautiful lodges. And they said, no. These kids fly private. They stay in all sorts of fancy hotels. You find us a 2 or 3 star hotel. They don't need the 5-star safari thing. They were really determined to see that, no, actually, we've had all this wealth in our family, and because that can happen within wealthy families, obviously, right? That the kids can go astray. They can become hugely spoiled, hugely privileged, and just lose touch with what reality.
Absolutely.
So it was actually very interesting to your point that in this case it was the older generation saying, no, I need to bring these kids back to reality.
Yeah, and you see it a lot. In today's world, you do see that. You see the extremely conscious families and parents who are so scared and worried about the children being too spoiled or being too, cushioned, that they want to show them real experiences of what is the reality on the ground. And I think that's such a fantastic way to parent. And I would love to kind of emulate that as my kids get older, because, being surrounded by so much comfort and wealth, whilst it's a blessing, it can also be a curse at times.
Yeah, it's an interesting balance, because you live in a life of comfort and privilege. We do. I'll say I don't shy away from it.
Yeah.
So you can't hide it, and the kids are living in the same house. They're coming on holiday with you. They're staying in the same hotels, etc. So you can't pretend this, that the comforts aren't around. But I think it's very important just to sort of understand or let the kids understand the value behind it. And it doesn't just come easy. And I think the journey that both you and I are on is, I think you and I see it that it comes with a responsibility.
Absolutely.
As well.
And I think it also comes from the way we've been brought up. You mentioned your father is a very charitable man. My family's been involved with charitable initiatives for a long time, starting with my grandfather. And that was the main focus of his life, was, creating a positive difference in the lives of others. So we've kind of grown up seeing that. So it's kind of been a norm for us to have been kind of going for these programs where we're feeding street children, going to the slums, creating classrooms. We've seen it since we're growing up. So for us, that's very normal. It's been a part of our upbringing. And maybe that's why we're just so much more conscious, because it's been a part of our DNA since we were kids.
Yeah.
And likewise for you.
I think that's a really good point. This is where I think there's an interesting challenge, because I think it has to be a lifestyle issue on how you raise a family.
Yeah.
Because it is. I don't know how much you're going to solve when you've got hugely spoiled kids and you bring them out for one impact trip for 4 days and go back.
Yeah.
That's an interesting balance.
Yeah.
One other question, because I've seen it popping up on my social media more recently in terms of the travel environment, in terms of Kenya, and the disruptions happening with, I don't want to name the hotel, but there's one particular hotel that's being criticized a lot for where it's been placed in the Masai Mara. So how do you reconcile yourself with that? With it's a balance. Let me just jump back quickly. And we went to Rwanda to see the gorillas.
Yeah.
Absolutely fabulous experience. And what they've done brilliantly there is they've taken the poachers and made them the guides. So they've stopped the poaching. They've given them gainful employment now, so they don't need the money to go and poach. And they've used these guys who are actually skilled to now go and walk with the gorillas and they've really boosted their tourism. And they put really good guardrails around this, or at least as I could see, they're really good guardrails. They make sure that you can't spend more than an hour with the gorillas per day. You can't encroach on their territory within 2 meters or whatever. They've got these very clear guidelines, and then you leave that land relatively untouched. Now, in an ideal world, you don't disturb the gorillas at all. I understand.
Yeah.
But if that brings in money and it brings in income for the country, if you balance it right, that's done very well.
Yeah.
What I'm reading is happening in the Masai Mara. Is there's the danger of overbuilding and over tourism. So what's your take on that?
Humans are going to disrupt everywhere. Whatever humans are going to touch on this planet is going to disrupt something or the other. So you by being alive, you're being a disruption.
Okay.
So how are you creating impact? By reducing the amount of disruption that you're actually doing. Now, if it means that you set up a lodge, which is actually creating employment for people in the Mara, I think that's a win. If there's an issue with it being on a certain path, then that should have been approved by the authorities before the building started. The authorities cannot now say that this is now coming in the way of a migration route for the wildebeest. The construction plans of all these lodges tend to be public knowledge and tend to get approvals from government offices.
So
it should have been stopped there.
So that was my take on it, because this thing didn't pop up overnight.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this is a beautiful lodge.
It's a beautiful property.
It must have taken at least a couple of years, if not more.
Absolutely. And it's signed up with a major international hotel brand.
Yeah.
So an international hotel brand is not going to associate itself with a developer or a company that has disrupted nature in a big way.
So, for example, what in your opinion went wrong in that process, so that we have a situation that we have now? What was it? A lack of oversight? Was it corruption? Was it someone just didn't ask the right people and just gave a permit? Why are we in this position right now?
I think definitely all approvals have to go through the local authorities and the local county government. Before you start building, you present your plans, like everywhere else in the world. You present your plans to the governing authority. The governing authority, which is now the custodian for wildlife and conservation, should now be saying, hang on, this is coming in the way of a migration route. Now, if they haven't said it and you've allowed the lodge to build, you cannot blame the developers of that lodge for that happening.
I agree with that. Yes.
I think it's an oversight.
An oversight
from the county government side.
Okay.
And they should have been a lot more alert about the situation if they felt that it was actually coming in a migration route. It cannot be a reactive measure where all of a sudden there's public outcry on this property.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now you have the county government, saying that actually, yeah, this is a mistake.
So I'm not going to link the two, okay? But I do want to move on to the word corruption. I want to, and somebody talking about countries that are in development, where you might sit on this word, and let me just give you an interesting example on this. Yeah, my straight view is corruption is bad, is wrong, it shouldn't be happening, but it happens, and it happens rampantly around the world. And yes, I know developing countries get beaten with it a lot, but it happens in every single country. Western developed country, it's just maybe a bit more subtle. It might be disguised a bit more, but the world is a hugely corrupt place. So for Project Maji, when we work with local counties, we don't pay a penny of a bribe anywhere. But we've been asked in a particular county in Kenya, that if you want to work in my county, it's going to cost X. And we walked away. Just simple. It's not even a discussion. It's just like, if that's your view, then thanks, but no thanks. And I had an interesting discussion with a friend who also runs a let's call it a private charity. And I said, this is what happened. And he said, well, why didn't you pay the bribe? I said, well, it's wrong to pay the bribe. You keep the negative system going. It's not my money as well. It's donor money that I'm giving. It's just a wrong thing to do. And he said, but if you'd paid the bribe, okay, you would have been able to serve that particular county. That would have meant you would have access to serve water to another 500,000 people who need water. And now that you haven't paid the bribe, you can't help them. And that got me thinking. Didn't change my mind, but it really got me thinking that, they're as wrong as it is, but if you paid, I don't know what the number would be, $5,000, and that allows you to do a massive amount of good. Is that wrong? How would you take that?
That's a moral dilemma. I think that one is a much bigger moral dilemma than anybody else who's facing, a question about corruption, because you're out there trying to make a huge difference in the lives of others. So it's a very difficult call to take for you. But if you ask me, from that part of the world, corruption has been there since, from the time you were born till now. And like a business is run on culture.
Yeah.
The country is also run on culture. So it's a very difficult question to answer, and I don't really have an answer to this, because it's either you've grown up around it or you haven't. And if you've grown up around it, you might be more accepting towards it, maybe not turning a blind eye, but you might be more accepting towards it than someone who's not been exposed to a culture of corruption or a country where it has been prevalent.
Yeah. I think this point needs a whole other podcast discussion.
Yeah, it does.
On its own. Bobby, before we close, what are your next steps in terms of going on this journey, specifically in terms of impact and purpose?
Yeah.
Where do you see yourselves expanding in that area? How are you going to do it? How are you going to disrupt more your existing industry to do this bigger and better than someone else?
So first of all, I think it's more about, again, we've talked a lot about purpose and doing the things that you love. I'm really enjoying the journey at the moment. The disruption will happen. And I believe it's going to happen, especially since we've just moved here to Dubai. It is going to happen because you've completely changed the way you were doing things, serving an entire market for a destination which is not as, frequently visited as other destinations in the world. Africa is still largely untouched by a lot of the market in the Middle East. So I think the disruption will happen in the next few months. So I guess we watch this space.
Okay. Well, Bobby, thanks for coming on.
Thank
It's been a pleasure to chat. And
you very much.
I know this conversation is going to carry on over many drinks and dinners. And
Yes.
Yeah, we'll have you on later and see where the long term takes you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.